Hi, I'm Mark Beck.
And I'm Stephanie Thompson, and we're coming to you from Remax Glacier Country here in Sunset Plaza.
And this is Selling Montana, a podcast about business, entrepreneurship, and real estate. And we have a highly esteemed guest with us this morning, Mr. Morrie Shechtman. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah. You braved the very snowy weather to come out here.
Yeah, well, as I was talking a few months ago, this is like Chicago redone again for me. We'd get 5 feet of snow and the 30-mile-an-hour, 40-mile-an-hour winds off Lake Michigan. It was brutal.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So your background, you're from Chicago?
Originally from Chicago, right, but lived in many places within the country and outside the country.
Okay.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So, been around quite a bit.
Yes, you have. Yeah. You're how many airline miles did you have?
4.5 million.
Oh my
Done a lot of flying.
gosh. No kidding.
That's just on Delta. I have another million on United.
Oh my
wow,
gosh.
that's crazy.
So
Good for you.
Yeah, been in a lot of different countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Stephanie, you don't really know much about Morrie.
No, I don't.
Morrie, tell us what you do and what makes you who you are.
Yeah, I do a unique form of consulting, basically with business people and particularly with leaders in business. And my brand is I help smart people stop doing stupid stuff.
I know. That's what I need.
So I tell CEOs the truth, probably the only one in their life that does. And they pay me a lot to tell them that they're the problem.
Yep.
Wow. There you go. That's awesome.
It's fun work. Yeah, we work with interesting people, as I say, all over the world. And my goal is to merge together who they are personally and who they are professionally, and get rid of this nonsense about living balanced lives. No one lives a balanced life in America.
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What I teach people is to lead a blended life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where there's very fuzzy lines between work and home, and where you have the same value system, both at work and at home.
Okay.
So I bring
That's
together
awesome.
these things, and the clients are more productive when they see what they're doing as a reflection of who they are personally.
Yeah. Very good.
And that's my specialty. Partly that comes from my being a psychotherapist.
That's what I was just going to ask. You were talking about that you went to school and...
Yeah. I've had a private practice for about 15 years in the Chicago area.
Okay.
And then I've been doing, I was a professor for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a nightmarish experience.
Can only imagine.
Oh, man.
Professor.
I thought government employees were lazy and mediocre until I started
University.
working with the university.
University, yeah.
It's the only institution that gets paid to be non-accountable and not do the job.
Yeah, I never went to university. I went to community college, so I skipped that.
Unfortunately.
I missed out on that.
And I'm still paying for it.
That'll be a good decision.
Yeah. No, I definitely don't regret it.
Yeah. So that's how I started seeing CEOs in my private practice, and it became clear that what they did as a CEO was a reflection of their individual issues. It wasn't just a skill issue. Companies don't fail because of competition. Companies commit suicide. And they do that by doing stupid things and ignoring them.
Yeah.
And then one day they wake up and they're going bankrupt, and they say, I wonder how that happened.
Where'd we go wrong?
Right.
Yeah. I do believe in, I think it's Jocko Willix that preaches this, and it's like, it's always the leader's fault. Like, no matter what happens, it's always the leader's fault. And once I got into a leadership position, I realized, oh yeah, it is. Like, I either didn't train you how to do it, or I wasn't there alongside you, helping you when you needed help, or, it trickles. That's the interesting thing with leadership, is it trickles up. It always does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
So now you can blame me for all my problems. No, just kidding.
Why not? Everyone else does.
I'm just kidding. Just
it's
kidding.
an
Mark's a good boss.
Interesting point you make, Mark, about the leader being responsible. But in most cases, they think that the problem is the leader is not involved enough. My experience is just the opposite. The leader is too involved.
Mm-hmm.
And
Micromanagement.
the role of the leader is to be a people developer.
Yeah.
If the leader's checking on whether people are doing their job, he's overpaid. That's silly.
That's true.
What the leader's there to do is to confront issues that need to change.
Yeah,
and if the
very
person
true.
isn't doing that, then they just build on each other all these little problems that are ignored.
That's
true.
true.
The biggest problem in corporate America is massive denial of problems.
I think we could agree there. Yeah.
Totally.
So I try to cut through that denial and say, here's the issue. Now, do you want to deal with it, or do you want to just hire someone to come in and tell you what you want to hear? Because I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
So you're still doing the same thing, just here in Montana and virtually?
Yeah. We actually moved here in 1995, built our first home here.
Oh, wow.
And then in 2015, we decided to go to L.A. for a little while and be closer to our kids and grandkids. And that was a mistake. For a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
But, one of which is California. It's just has a bunch of walking schizophrenics running around. It's a disaster area. And plus the fact that we found out that our kids find us boring and we find them boring.
Is that why they say never follow your kids? Because they're boring?
Well, they're in a different stage of life than we are.
Totally.
So this whole notion of let's get close to our children, our grandchildren, is a nice idea.
Yeah.
In practicality, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. You can be too close to your family.
You're really close.
I'm way too close.
He's next door.
Yeah. My parents, this is not good for my mental health at all. Somehow my parents managed to purchase land across the street from me and built a house right across the street from me. So now I'm selling my house. True story.
That's right.
True story.
That's right. That's why, that's why the time between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, the amount of admissions to hospitals in their emergency room for psychiatric reasons triples.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that for psychiatric.
Yeah, and you know why? Because being around your families would drive you crazy.
Yeah. I know. I see, Morrie, should have listened to you a long time ago. The whole smart people doing stupid things. Right. I found Friendsgivings are much better than Thanksgivings, family Thanksgivings.
We'll start a Black Sheeps Anonymous.
Yeah.
Right.
Have a Friendsgiving.
Right.
Oh, boy. So on that topic, I know we were discussing this a little earlier. It's commonplace that most people find they have more in common with their grandparents than they do with their parents. And I was saying I seem to have very little in common with people in my generation. And I typically find more in common with people around between the ages of like 45 and 70 usually is who a lot of my friends are.
Same.
Yeah, well, those folks have had some life experience.
Yeah. Which
our culture does a real poor job of training people and giving them the skills to live in a real world.
Yeah.
So right now, if you're below 40 by and large, you've been protected from any real life by parents who think they're doing a great job by intervening all the time in your life.
Yeah.
Number one problem my corporate clients have is that they hire young, articulate people, very skilled, who cannot deal with any disappointment. So
that's true. They're used to instant satisfaction.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many of my clients have said that they've had the experience of a young man or woman come in and get their first evaluation. So they're told what they do good, and they're told what they do bad, and they start crying.
Oh my gosh.
They just melt down. Some of them never come back to work the next day. They're just crushed by someone saying, son, you do a crappy job at that, and it has to change if you want to stay here. And you would think that you just told the person you're going to shoot him at noon. Oh my gosh. And that's because what we've done, and the biggest mistake we made in this culture was after World War II, we decided that the role of parents was to make kids happy. That was a critical mistake. The role of parents is to develop their children to leave them someday.
Yeah.
It's not, you try to make a kid happy, all you're going to do is produce the super entitled brat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we have.
That's what's happening.
Hordes of which in the workforce now, it's epidemic.
Don't you think you need to give them some direction, help them develop some discipline, and let them just really get it all on their own? Like that's what I think. Have them do activities like play sports, maybe have them occupy their time so that they're not running around, doing bad things.
That's what I do.
Yeah, and then
busy. expect
them to have good enough grades to stay in sports or whatever academic or whatever activities it is that they're doing.
Well, that's all predicated on the fact that you're assuming they know how to act like an adult.
Okay. Forget that part.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? And so that's the biggest problem in our culture now. These kids are growing up, and they have no sense of reality and no sense of accountability, and they're never confronted with things they need to change.
Yeah.
So, when I start meeting with people, and this is middle management and up, and I'll just give them some tough feedback, and they act like, holy cow, I don't know that I want to do this. This is hard. Why are you being mean to me?
Oh.
I say, I'm not being mean to you. I'm telling you that when I talk to you, you don't look me in the eye. You look over my shoulder.
Yeah.
You know how destructive that is?
Yeah.
Oh, do I do that? You bet your ass you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I used to be a business owner, I'd sandwich it. I'd tell them, you're doing something good, and then tell them the thing they're doing bad, and then tell them something they're doing good.
Yep.
The worst advice in the world.
That is the sandwich?
Yeah, we call it a shit sandwich.
Well, I passed out a lot of shit sandwiches. But
I just normally give a lot of shit. So.
Yeah, it's terrible. You know why? Because if you tell them good and then bad, and then you leave them with good, what do you think they remember?
The good. Yeah,
good.
And they need to remember the bad.
Yeah, and they just deny that the bad stuff was there.
Oh, yeah.
I had such different working experiences. When I was a welder, I had one of my foremans, I don't know, I was
just bad all the time.
You're working with really rough guys, like Navy guys and whatever, and a lot of them are in their 40s and 50s, and they're on their third divorce, and life is tough, and they're definitely going to make sure that you know it. And I remember it didn't happen to me, but it was one of my colleagues that he kept putting a pipe wrench on the wrong way, and the foreman was like, if you put that pipe wrench on the wrong way, I'm going to smash you over the head with that thing. And he's wearing a hard hat, so it wouldn't actually hurt him. But like, and he's like screaming it. Like you're in a work environment where it's very dangerous and you need to be doing your job correctly all of the time, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of yelling and screaming. And I don't think most people could handle that work environment. When you're having a grown man with a gray beard just screaming at you from a genie lift, like it's a good, I highly recommend it especially for a young man. That's definitely an experience that I'm glad I had, and I don't need to go back to it, but it definitely thickened my skin.
Yeah, well, that's real. That's real life.
Yeah,
yeah.
And boy, it's amazing how little life skills the young people are going into the workforce with. And it creates a huge problem over and over again.
Yeah.
So I guess what would you say advice for someone like my age, Stephanie's age? What's the best advice you could give someone like us in life and in career at this point at 30?
Well, a couple of things. One of which is get better at confronting things that you see are wrong and take the risk of pointing those out. then you become valuable to the owner, the CEO, whatever. But if all you do is keep saying, we're doing a great job, no problems here, he knows you're lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what he wants is having people work for him that tell the truth. So that can be fixed. I say all the time, what the difference is between a healthy growing company and a company going under? The healthy growing company knows they're screwed up. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you want to be part of changing a company, speak up. Don't stuff. Then.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely essential. And keep learning all the time. And learning means you get more information about who you are and why you do what you do. Okay? And stay away as far as you can from schools. Okay, they're one of the most destructive facets of our culture now is our school system. It is horrendous.
Yeah. Horrendous debt too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a university problem in this. It's just designed. The entire way it's set up is just wrong. It's not to educate. It's to indoctrinate, and it's to.
Yeah, even beyond that, it's what I tell people all the time is you understand that we are sending our children to schools to be taught by the lowest risk people in America.
Yeah.
To learn how to flourish in a high risk culture. How bizarre can you get?
Yeah. It's the absolute wrong people teaching.
Yeah,
they couldn't possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they can't be held accountable, and they can't be fired.
Yeah, because of tenure.
Yeah, because of tenure. So they're mediocre forever.
Yeah, there's no risk to them. There's no
there's no risk at all. So the schools just teach our children to be compliant, avoid conflict, and act like everything's fine all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, avoiding conflict is not good. No.
Yeah.
No, and that's where so much miscommunication comes from. Is if you don't just embrace it and just go after it, and hey, this is what's wrong. And I need to tell you.
Yeah. And if I don't tell you, I don't care.
Yeah.
I meet with CEOs all the time, act like, this company really cares about its people. We really have a great company. We care about it. Great. So how often do you confront them? Well, what do you mean? How often do you tell your people they're doing things wrong or coming across wrong and they need to change? Oh, no, we don't do any of that. Then we're going to drive people away. No, you'll drive people away when you don't confront them, and then they leave because there's no growth in the company.
Mm-hmm.
So denial is and avoidance of conflict is just horrendous in corporate America now.
Yeah.
And all denial leads to is a certain end that's not very pleasant.
Totally.
Yeah. Interesting.
If you want, I'm telling Mark that I have worked with large real estate firms, brokerages, and agents, and I can share with you some of the information I share with them that may be helpful to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that the real estate industry really tries hard to learn and grow and teach people skills, but they don't really understand what the psychological significance of homes is for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I tell people in real estate all the time, you understand the two most prominent dreams you have will be about houses and cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Psychologically.
It's very true.
Right. So why is that important? Okay. Homes are our identity, and psychologically they're a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. So you're not just selling homes, you're selling identities.
That's very good to know. Yeah, I never actually thought about that, Morrie. That's very interesting.
Yeah. I never thought of that. But it's very true.
Yeah. So your biggest mistake I see real estate agents do is start talking at people right away, at their prospects. This is a great place. From what you've said, this is everything in it is what you want. And the person's saying, why don't you ask me some questions, stupid?
Yeah.
When I don't need another sales pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I say is never go out with a couple to look at homes the first time to ever sell them anything.
Yeah.
The first visit is to establish a relationship.
Build rapport.
Yeah.
No sales occur without a relationship. So you need to start asking questions about why do they want a home that they describe? What significance does that have in their life?
Yeah.
So you've got to really connect the home purchase with their identity or an identity they want to create. And that's really critical.
Yeah.
So you've got to approach it very differently. Salespeople in all professions make a cardinal mistake, and that is they start selling too early.
Yeah. Totally.
And
I agree with that.
Yeah, so you don't go out to sell, you go out to build relationships, and you go out and ask people hard questions. Like, why do you want a home this big?
Yeah.
Gee, I don't know. We just would like a lot of room. Why? For what?
That's my favorite question. Why? Why do you need that? Why do you need that shop?
It's good because otherwise you leave people feeling after you make the sale like that it was bait and switch.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and people generally, I sold cars before I sold real estate. Generally, 7 times out of 10, they would come in and they bought a completely different vehicle than they initially sought out for. Like 70% of the time, they buy a totally different car. And they'll tell you that I've never ever sold a person a car that didn't tell me, we're not buying anything today, we're just looking. Ultimately, they did buy a car that day.
Yeah.
Right.
From me.
That's funny. When I go to a car place, I know what I want, and I leave with what I want. They try to talk me into different, but
you know what's really important is most people do not know what they really want.
They don't.
Oh,
They don't.
That's crazy.
They go out looking for what they think they ought to have.
Yeah.
We always called it the road to the sale. It was just a journey that you went through, and then
That's crazy.
it's the weirdest thing. And you would think that people know, they've done all the research, they know exactly what car they want. 7 times out of 10, they buy something different.
Oh my
Because you start asking them questions. If you're very good, you start asking them questions about why they want that. And then they realize when they get in the car, they drive it, you've asked them questions they didn't ask themselves. And now they realize they need a different product.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they're not going to get to that until you ask better questions. Yeah. I mean, why do I know a lot of people bought homes, they still have children at home.
Yeah.
So if you want to have children at home and you're looking for a new house, do you want these kids close to your bedroom? Do you want them across the hall?
Yeah.
You want them as far away from you as possible.
Yeah.
You know? Well, so when they say, you're buying this home, we got 3 kids still at home. What do you think, what do you want the house then to be like when you've got 3 kids still at home?
Yeah.
Do you want a wing for children? Do you want a wing for adults? Let's get real about how you're really going to use this place.
Yeah.
Depends on how old the kids are. If they're really young, you want them close to you. If they're 16, you want them far away.
Far away as possible.
Why I'm turning my garage into the teenage hangout because they're loud.
Yeah.
Especially girls. The giggles.
Loud and messy.
Yeah. Gosh.
Right.
That's true.
But I think real estate is a real challenge because it's trying to find out and drill down with people. But that's not how we, by and large, train realtors.
Yeah.
To really drill down, we train them to be nice, pleasant, look good.
Yeah.
And they struggle then. As a
Yeah.
result of that.
Yeah, because they're afraid to ask the tough questions, the closing questions. Yeah, that's what's... man, it's too bad because the last 2 years have been so easy, and I think that's why people are realizing, oh, this is going to be hard now. Now I have to actually be a salesperson. Now I have to have sales skills that you never developed because last year it was just like, we don't care, 50,000 over list, whatever, we'll take it.
I think that your training though, for us, like when you gave us those packets and stuff, he taught me how to sell because I do ask tough questions.
You do now.
I do now, for sure. Like I even just literally told somebody that if you don't buy this house, I think that I'm not the realtor for you because this is not, otherwise you're not looking at what you want and you should just build because everything that you want, we're not going to find.
And do you know what that's called? That's called the takeaway close.
Oh.
There's a name for that. I
did
forgot to
not
teach
know
you that,
that.
but there's a name
No,
for it.
you
It's called
taught-
the
yeah, you
takeaway. Yeah.
You taught me, but you're like,
Yep.
don't be afraid to tell people that you're not the right person for them, or this is not.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be shopping.
It's counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
it actually will make them engage more, and then they want you
And
more.
really think of what they want too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But make a good point about selectivity.
Yeah.
A good salesperson only works with people who matches their values
Yeah.
and their honesty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I tell people all the time, the most successful people say no more than yes.
Yeah. It's true.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
you
To
gotta
learn how to say no. I say yes.
It's a
Morrie.
very important thing. You have to learn how to say no. It's not an easy thing to do because we're trained, like Morrie said, we're trained to say yes and be
know.
nice.
Be nice
Yeah.
and give and give and give and give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know, the worst thing salespeople do is piss away time. That's
Yeah.
their money.
Yeah.
Then, so you can't hang out with people who you don't respect, who are confused, who are acting goofy. Just like the best thing to say is, I don't think I'm the person to work with you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you know, go waste someone else's time,
Yeah.
but not mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or go build.
Yeah. Or go build.
Yeah, go find a contractor.
What's interesting, I have right now one of my clients is a builder, and I was glad to work with him as a client because he built our first house here.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how we decided to use him? When we decided to build a house in Montana, I did some asking around, and I isolated 3 potential builders.
Mm-hmm.
And Arlia and I, my wife and I, interviewed them. Okay, and only one caught our dream. The other 2 wanted to build their dream.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, we still use that phrase, don't ever work with a builder that doesn't catch your dream.
Yeah.
Very good.
They have an idea of what they want to build.
Yeah.
That ain't what we want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it gets a lot of builders in trouble.
Yeah.
They go around building.
There are a lot of builders that do that. They kind of build, no matter if they're doing something custom for you, they just have a style.
They build their style.
Yeah, they built their style.
Yeah, we had one builder wanted to put like marble columns in the entry. You know,
Montana?
That's
crazy.
This is not ancient Greece.
No.
Athens.
Yeah.
We're not in the columns.
Yeah, no.
No. Those are not in style here.
No, not at all.
So, Morrie, how do we train younger generations? How do we get the entitlement out of them?
Oh, good question. They need a tremendous amount of structure up front. Where are the guardrails for them to operate within? By and large, they come from homes which set no limits. So they need very clear limits and structure. Number 2, they need constant feedback. And I mean almost daily. This is what you did great today. Good job. But the way you handled those other folks was terrible. And here's why it was terrible. Okay, get them used to hearing bad stuff all the time. Okay, that's the only thing that's going to grow them.
Yeah.
And don't over compliment them because it's dishonest. And they know, this guy who says, "Oh, that was a beautiful thing you did about the way you opened that door." Come on. Great. It's like saying you do great breathing.
A beautiful thing to open that door.
Yeah.
I was my dad, Southern gentleman, like you open the door for women, like you push their seat in for them. And honestly, you can get yourself in trouble for doing that kind of stuff nowadays because it's not well received often.
Yeah, Mark shut the door on me yesterday.
Well, I tried to open it for her.
I know.
She said, "I'll get it myself," and then I slammed it in her face. Kidding.
Just kidding. That's not what happened. I'm just kidding. This is the Pick on Mark show, if you haven't picked it up.
It is a pick on me. Yep.
Yeah, so the younger people are a real challenge. The worst thing that happens is they get hired by people who feel like, we'll tell you what to do. You're a grown-up, go do it.
Yeah,
That's
they
a
don't know what they're
prescription
doing.
for failure. No, this is how I want you to do it. In this kind of way, I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to show you how to do it, but I'm going to tell you what I expect. and I'll give you feedback on it, on whether you did it right or not. Feedback is so important. Without feedback, people don't grow.
Yeah.
True. Very true. Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems in the younger workforce, that they're not getting feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
And I feel like it's, we this culture that we live in now, like, oh my gosh, you don't dare give anyone negative feedback. They're just immediately offended by it. And it's like, oh, it upsets me to hear that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was like thinking when you were talking, how kids from the minute they're born, if they start crying, here's an iPad.
Yeah.
Here's a phone. Here, just
something
stop,
to occupy your time.
Like, I'm just gonna do this instead of telling you bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The culture I grew up in, if babies cried, one or two grandmothers would immediately stuff food in their mouth. Here.
Those are some big kids.
Well,
my dad said, "Hey, why don't you kids go chase some parked cars and quit running around?"
We weren't allowed in the house like at a certain time. Like if it's before, when we whistle, I knew my mom's whistle. You could hear it across the neighborhood. But when we whistle, you can come home. Otherwise, get lost. Like go hang out with the kids out in the neighborhood and get exercise.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, but not anymore. Here's an iPad.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. I'm amazed about these days what offends people.
Yeah.
And essentially it's any kind of honest feedback.
Yeah.
It's not offensive or scary. That's the thing that really pisses me off. Or you can't talk that way. It's scary.
It's scary.
How can talking be scary to you? Grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. The minute that we're afraid to talk, that's scary.
It is.
And I feel like we're getting to that point where it's starting to get
it's more
scary.
and more secluded. I was going to ask you what you thought, especially because you're in the corporate world, of everybody working from home. Has it gotten even worse with the...
Yeah, that's a good question. Working from home is the quintessential good news, bad news.
Yeah.
It can be great for what certain people do.
Yeah.
And it can be a total disaster for others. The problem with working at home is lack of feedback.
Yep.
Okay, you're just in an echo chamber. So you do your work, you can do it good or you can do a shabby job, and you're not going to find out about it until the next call that you have. In that sense, it slows productivity down.
Yeah.
And also, people need to connect with other people at work.
Yeah.
And unless you have regular meetings that can be done either Zoom or face-to-face, you're going to lose that contact. We live for contact.
I know. That's what scares me, is that everything is moving more and more to online and to separate and seclude even more.
Yeah. And online does not allow you to make any kind of emotional connection with people.
No.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you get these silly, nasty emails that people send to each other.
Yeah.
That's just very destructive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a mixed blessing.
Yeah.
It is. It's interesting. I'm just going to plug RE/MAX for a second, because RE/MAX, as an owner, you have to have an office, right? You have to have an office space for your agents to be at. Mm-hmm. There's competing companies that are completely digital. Well, but RE/MAX agents outproduce them usually 2 to 3 times, because RE/MAX agents are in the office. They're collaborating. They're working harder, more at the office. It just gives you that environment to do it. Mm-hmm. And the plug, the idea in real estate that was trying to be cultivated was, we don't need an office anymore. Like, we work from our cars or we work from our cell phones anyways. The office is like a fundamental to success, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. To like truly hitting the higher numbers, and doing better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I think that as we go into worse markets, the people that don't come into the office, no matter what brand or business they're at, if they're going to continue to work from home, I don't think they're going to make it.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. No, you need that contact with other people, and you lose that.
Promote growth. Yeah.
Yeah. No matter how good the technology is, there's not that emotional connection. Mm-hmm. Or you've got to really drill down, and it's harder to do over Zoom than it is face to face. Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom is not the same as face to face.
No.
No.
Yeah. Well, Morrie, anything else that you might like to talk about?
Oh, well, there's almost endless amount that I could talk about.
I know, that's what we're hoping for. Tell us about some of maybe your more exciting, like global travels and what you had to work with globally.
Oh, globally is fascinating because I had two graduate backgrounds. One's in cultural history and one's in psychotherapy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm always looking at cultures, how they shape people and how they're shaped by people. And going, traveling around the world as I have, it taught me to value this culture and this country more than I ever imagined I could.
Yeah.
Wow.
Most societies, I think what people are unaware of is I would say 9 out of 10 societies on this planet run by bribery and graft.
Yeah.
And most Americans don't have a clue about that.
Yeah.
As much as we complain about things in this culture and there's occasional bribery is the name of the game. The rest of the world. Yeah, people are surprised that more dirty money goes through Switzerland than any other place in the world.
Oh,
and we have this idea of these Swiss dancing up mountains and singing and all this stuff. That ain't Switzerland.
Well, I guess when people are hiding money, they usually do it in Swiss banks.
They do it in Swiss banks, yeah.
Yeah, I just realized that.
Yeah, so and in fact, on the Swiss national tax return, their tax return form, there's a line item for bribes.
Of how many bribes you paid?
Yeah, how many bribes you paid. It's deductible.
Wow. I used to own a salon before, and actually Montana Coffee Traders, a lot of their coffee is actually roasted in Russia. There's a couple of different owners in Montana Coffee Traders, and one of them is Russian. She's very sweet. I used to do her nails. But they have to fork out a ton of money so that when they're here 6 months out of the year, that the government doesn't steal from their coffee business also. So they fork out a ton of money. She was telling me, yeah, so that people aren't stealing from her while she's gone.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So you learn a lot about, what's distinctive about our culture, what's very, very different. In most of the world, people do very little introspection. It's like everything is what you see is what you get. And when I start asking questions about, well, why would you do that? I get that deer in the headlights look. Well, what do you mean? Mm-hmm. That's what I've always done. Would you understand how destructive that can be? Yeah. But it's this culture is so unique in helping people grow. And as bad as screwed up as we are now, we're better than the rest of the world.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Very lucky.
Yeah. I got to go to Brazil this year, which was an amazing eye opener for me. Yeah. And a DUI, I mean, you can drive drunk, you get a DUI, it's 200 reals. They let you just keep going, doesn't matter, right? You just literally give the cop 200 reals and you're good to go. That's how the justice system works there. Is it's just about getting money, right? It's just all about getting money. It's not about actually protecting people.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And the police force and the military is simply run again by the same kind of bribery.
Yeah.
And there's no recourse. We were one of our trips. We were driving around Moscow with the driver and a translator, and all of a sudden. Police come by and motion to pull over. So the guy pulls it over, and the cop is talking to the driver, and they're going on and on. I asked our translator, what's going on? And she said, well, the police officer wants certain papers from the driver. So I said, give him the papers. She said, they don't exist. So what do you mean they don't exist? He wants some money because he saw the limo. And he saw foreigners.
Wow.
Wow.
And I said, you mean, what if we don't want to give them money? I said, then we'll be here all day and tomorrow.
They're going to detain you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's no thing like this against my Constitution.
Yeah. There's no habeas corpus.
There's no recourse.
Yeah.
So I gave them $10, went on our way, and we were fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that is typical of a lot of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And that's because most people grow up in survival cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In survival cultures, ethics come a distant second.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So we've learned a lot. We had an experience. So we were in Leningrad the day the Soviet Union fell, literally fell apart. And Leningrad, the name of Leningrad was changed back to St. Petersburg. While we were right there, standing there. So again, we talked to our translator, and we said, "Man, do you understand what this means? The Soviet Union is over. You can have a different form of government. Are you looking forward to living in a democracy?" And she looked me right in the eye and said, "Absolutely not."
Really?
What do you want? I want a benevolent czar.
Benevolent czar.
Benevolent czar. So what she was saying was, I want to be told what to do.
Monarchy.
I just don't want you to be mean to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
That is the way the human race is, though. They do want to be told what to do. Like,
true.
we all love structure, and I like doing the same thing. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be glad, because you understand, we talk about giving people choices.
Yeah.
What we don't talk about is that's a brutal burden.
yeah.
Because if I say you can do whatever you want, you have to take responsibility for what you want to do.
And then you can only be mad at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so most people
Yeah.
do not want a system in which they get to make all these choices.
Yeah.
They'd rather be told what the choices are.
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
That's fascinating that we saw that again and again in all the travels.
Yeah.
People are not interested in free societies. They're interested in highly structured societies where they're told what to do.
Yeah.
Then they'd be glad to do it. Just don't kill them.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah. It does. It makes total sense though. Like it really just plays into the human mind and how it works, you know, and especially if you're in survival mode, if you're in a survival
Yeah. Right,
scenario.
Right. In most of the world, people's choices are between some really, really bad ones and some choices that suck a little less.
Yeah.
But that's how, you know, I tell people, people will tell me when I'm working with them, well, yeah, I don't have really a great choice here.
Yeah.
No, you don't. So you're going to have to make the choice that sucks the least.
Yeah.
Well, really? Yeah, really.
Really?
That's real life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You don't have great choices very often.
Wow.
You know? Yeah.
That's crazy.
But we've really created a miraculous culture in this country, and it really saddens me how few Americans understand that, appreciate it. And if we're up to me, you'd have to leave this country when you finish, let's say, high school.
Yeah.
And you'd have to go away for at least 2 years and learn how to make money in a foreign country and get yourself around. New Zealand has...
2 weeks was enough for me. I'm like, you know what? I want to go home.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like fun. It's really, really interesting that New Zealand has a tremendous, fun, really interesting cultural rule. It's not law, but it's a rule that most families in New Zealand follow. And that is when they finish their equivalency of high school, which is about 2 years of college for us, they have to leave the country. They have to leave New Zealand and can't come back for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Their parents give them some money, kiss them goodbye,
Yeah.
and say, see you in a couple of years. And because of that, New Zealand produces a very great amount of businessmen, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing with Mormons.
Yeah.
I was just, when you said that, I was thinking of Mormons.
Yeah, I have a client whose best employees come from Mormon background.
Yeah.
Because you got to do your, whatever they call it,
Their mission.
their mission. Yeah.
Yeah.
2-year mission.
Yeah. And their mission, I thought, well,